Bobby Fischer was a famous American chess player who would become the 11th chess world champion for the United States from 1972 to 1975. However, his very high IQ and his mental obsession for chess eventually made him go insane and develop controversial opinions about the world. For an example, anti-Semitism and Holocaust denial. He was also possibly schizophrenic or autistic, and he also made some pretty controversial comments about the September 11th attacks, to say the least. And he also called Adolf a nice guy, so he was quite a controversial guy, and he also said some misogynistic stuff like this.
Why is this? Do women make bad chess players?
Oh, they're terrible chess players. I don't know why. I guess they're just not so smart.
So what if this mentally ill chess player, who was also a genius, became the president of the United States of America? Let's see what happens. Bobby Fischer will run in the 1976 elections, and this is for two reasons. Firstly, he left the title of world champion in 1975 and basically ended his career. And the other reason is that the war in Vietnam would probably provide him with a very good campaign, which would most likely be anti-interventionist and more isolationist. And by splitting the vote between Gerald Ford and Jimmy Carter, he might be able to secure victory. Bobby's main ideologies would be anti-Zionism, anti-communism, nationalism, isolationism, which would altogether definitely lead to Bobby abandoning all Middle Eastern relations, especially with the State of Israel. A presidency of this psychopath would lead to hardline Dixie support across the United States and nationalistic sentiment, which would lead to instability. On top of that, as it couldn't get worse, Bobby would probably fight against women's voting rights and possibly abolish them, leading to even more instability. These tensions and instability haven't been seen since Joe Biden fell off his bike. Now, Bobby was obviously an anti-communist and against the Soviets, but he was also against NATO and all types of interventionism. So how would his foreign policy look like? His anti-interventionism and not really caring about Europe would probably lead to a Soviet advantage in the Cold War, which might lead to the Soviets and the socialist movements taking over way more countries than they did in our timeline. Even the Soviets might actually win in Afghanistan because Bobby wouldn't even support the fighters against the Soviet regime. On top of that, this all might lead to the survival of the Soviet Union into the 21st century. After seeing all the bad policies this guy would do, now let's see some good policies he would do. First, he might add chess into the school curriculum because obviously he's a chess grandmaster, we can't go without this. He might fund scientific organizations like NASA more in order to advance scientific progress. However, despite these policies, the instability across the country and a failing US foreign policy would lead to a complete economic fall-down of the United States, which might lead and will probably lead to Bobby not even having a second term. One of the main opponents who would probably take charge would be Reagan, since he is basically the opposite of Bobby. One of the most far-fetched results of Bobby's presidency might be that we won't be seeing a 9/11 like in our timeline, since the perpetrators wouldn't even really exist, as the Soviets would win in Afghanistan and there were not really any Middle Eastern interventions. If you want to see me do a similar video like this on Garry Kasparov, since he was a member of the Communist Party in Russia, I could make him be the chairman of the Soviet Union if you want me to, but only if I get 100 likes on this video to see that you like this. I probably won't. Thanks for watching and have a very chessful day.